Oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Live from QSR Automation Studios in New York City, it's the Hospitality Hangout Podcast with the restaurant guy and the finance guy. I got to tell you, Jimbo, QSR Automation is doing some amazing things, and we love them. We love what they're doing. They are doing some great stuff. Jimbo, we got a great show, great episode. One of the best, I think.
I got to stop here. We only have downside.
Yeah, let's kick us off right now.
Manage expectations. Okay, I have the privilege of welcoming you all more formally to join us for the Hospitality Hangout, a hospitality-focused podcast where the founders at Branded Hospitality share their insights and bring technology and innovation leaders that are making things happen in the industry we love. And we do love it. We really do love it. My name is Jimmy Frischling, otherwise known as the finance guy. I'd like to introduce my partner, Mr. Michael Schatzberg, also known as the restaurant guy.
And thank you for that kind introduction, Jimmy. And for all those listening, feel free to call me Shatsy. We are together, the voices, the personalities, if you will, behind Branded Hospitality Ventures. We're at the intersection, Jimmy, of capital, restaurants, technology, innovation, automation, and all things events, media.
Wow.
Trade shows.
Wow. Very focused.
Very focused. We are laser focused. And I got to tell you, just coming back from Chicago and the granted, I like to call it the Oscars, if you will. It's the Oscars of the restaurant business.
Yes.
The National Restaurant Show at McCormick. Jimmy, I've never seen you sweat so much that when I told you we had a meeting on the West Hall or whatever it was, and Jimmy's like, we got to walk over there. I mean, Jimmy, you know what they need for you? Like at the airport, you know they have those little golf carts that are driving around?
Yes.
Jimmy needs to get one of those golf carts at NRA to drive him around. Beep, beep,
I'd like that.
Yeah, you got to have one of those, Jimmy, because that show is too big for you.
It is very big. I carry the big branded bag with way too much stuff in it. But I have to tell you, it is the granddaddy. But let's make sure, you said the National Restaurant Show. You can't leave off the A. We're the original. We're the OG
The
NRA,
National Restaurant Association.
And that's the big show.
I still say
now owned and operated by Informa Connect.
Owned and operated by
well, you're not going to forget that. So the National Restaurant Show, it was the granddaddy of them all. But I got to tell you, before I get into it, because I learned a lot there, Jimmy.
Yes.
I mean, I know you say, Jesse, how could you learn more? You're so smart. I can still learn more.
It's amazing. I said that, my mouth didn't move.
Every time I go, I still get a little nugget. And you know what I learned over there? I learned that automation is essential in restaurants. It's essential. It's not just point of sale, Jimmy.
Not just point of sale?
It's more.
Let me ask you a question, Shatsy. The point of sale is the heart of the restaurant.
That's correct. That is correct, sir.
So says every POS executive.
Yes.
We'll talk.
You are correct, sir.
What do you think that makes the kitchen display system? What do you think?
The kitchen display system is the soul.
Brain.
The brain, not the soul. Not the soul.
It can be the soul, too.
It can be the brain. It's the brain. And let me tell you, QSR Automation Connect Smart Recipe Plus, doing some stuff. Nobody thinks about the recipe. Everyone wants to do all the other things. No one cares about the recipe. But you know what? Without a good recipe, you know what you got, Jimbo?
I think you probably have a failing restaurant.
You got nothing.
You got nothing.
You got nothing. And no one talks. The inventory, and I got to buy the stuff, and I got reservations, and I got the point of sale, and my guest feedback, and loyalty. What about recipes? You got to have a good recipe. Without a good recipe, you got nothing. Jimbo, we got a great show. Let's kick it off.
Right.
Let's kick it off. Come on.
We do have a great show. We have the privilege not just of having one guest today, but we have two guests. We're very excited about today's episodes. We have two amazing guests returning today from Informa Connect. The media brands include Nation's Restaurant News, Restaurant Hospitality, Supermarket News, Food Management, Create, The Experience, and now Winsight. And of all their incredible events, FS Tech, RLC, and the NRA, the big deal, the OG, the NRA, the grilling one, not the other one. We're excited to have our friends, Mr. Joe Donnelly, president of media and events, and a third-time Hospitality Hangout guest.
Thank you, sir.
Third-timer.
Christi Ravneberg, senior director of media intelligence and custom content. You like Apple
You have to fit that on a card. Yeah, they got to put that on a card, huh?
It's got to be big.
I'm going to let Joe and Christi jump on in, have them introduce ourselves a little bit. I know, Schatz, you like to do the sofa.
Well, I thought you just did the introduction.
I did the introduction? All right. Well, I thought we're going to
let them have another introduction.
Yeah, let's do two introductions. I think we can do this one.
Let's get involved. I mean, our listeners are like,
I think people should know who
they even have two guests today.
I agree.
Yes,
it's
we do.
incredible.
Joe, you're in the studio with us. You get to go first, my friend.
Yes, sir. Joe Donnelly, president of media and events for Informa Connect. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. Yes, last time I was here, I was not the president.
No, what were you last time?
You
were like nothing.
No, I was like nothing. Yeah. We made this incredible acquisition of Wednesday, and my stock.
How much that cost? What does something like that cost?
Well, it's printed, so we can tell you that it cost about $400 million acquisition.
$400 million.
Yes, indeed, it's a big deal for us.
Do Jimmy and I, does that funnel down to us in any way, shape, or form?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Not yet.
Interesting. Interesting that we don't get anything. Because I felt like I made that introduction.
I think you did. And by the way, Christi,
like Winsight was over here, and Informa was over there, and I brought them together.
Christi told me she owes you a beer. It's going to be domestic only. She's going to buy you a beer.
Mick Ultralight.
Mick Ultralight.
Happy hour special.
Ultralight in honor of that introduction.
$400 million. I'm still thinking about that, Jimbo.
And Christi, how about yourself? Could you give us a little introduction, and we're going to dive into the action?
Sure. I am Christi Ravneberg. I'm the Senior Director of Media Intelligence and Custom Content for our Informa brands that you mentioned so well earlier. I work mostly on what we're talking about today, our intelligence platform, which is serving our operator and retailer audiences and putting together deep dive reports like we'll talk about today on technology, labor, all the biggies that operators are tackling today. So we survey our audience, find out what's going on really on the ground and in their minds, and get that back out to you and tell wonderful people like you all the great
is
stats.
Like the brain and the soul that you're just talking about.
She's the KDS.
She's like,
and you're the POS.
There you go.
I love it.
I'll take that.
I love it. Joe is the point of sale. Christi's the KDS.
Yeah. There you go. I like that.
She keeps us running.
Get a shirts made like that.
Brandon we are obsessed with content. And we think about restaurants. The content to us is the food. It's the experience. The distribution channels are important. They're nice, but we always like the content. And you guys are really in the content creation business.
And experience business.
And I think that's why we're such a fan of what Informa's doing and of your publications. And
my favorite publication, Jimmy, I love the one that I like to read the most. Yeah. It's grocery store news.
It's not our publication.
Yeah, and by the way, well done, Schatz, because I literally...
That's not one of theirs?
No, supermarket.
I meant supermarket.
Supermarket news is
That's what I was talking about. Supermarket news. That's the one I like.
Yes, great.
I love to read what's happening at Publix and Stop and Shop. You give me a supermarket news, I'm buying into that.
Almost better than the Post. Very surprising.
That's better than the Post.
But listen, I clearly did something right this week.
Something.
I did something right because I get to break news. And the podcast, the Hangout, we love breaking news. Usually Schatzy gets to break the news, but I get to break news today. And maybe it's not the first time that you guys have maybe heard about this, but it's a podcast first. And here we go. Nation's Restaurant News has just released their 2024 Restaurant Tech Outlook, a market leader report on the transformative tech strategies for restaurants. Now, that is a mouthful, but I got to tell you, this is exciting stuff to us. We are in the we're in the emerging tech and innovation investment business. That is what Brandon is here to do. And I love that you guys have tackled this thing and you're really trying to go with this kind of delicate, balance. You're dedicating we can dedicate this entire episode. I think we actually are going to do that to the findings, or at least most of the episode.
I love it.
Joe and Christi,
the crowd here is going nuts.
Crowd's going nuts.
Very
crowded in the studio. So we're going to let you both dive into this. But Joe, why don't you kick us off at a high level? What are the changes? What did you guys learn from the in publishing this report? The changes, even from just 1 year or 2 years since you guys have been tracking these trends. Tell us what you're finding out.
Yeah, well, first off, I would let Christi talk about kind of more in-depth trends in technology. Just for background purposes, being in our second year is extremely valuable for us. We plan on running this tech outlook year over year for the foreseeable future. So you can expect this from us each year. Nation's Restaurant News and Restaurant Business are now collaborating on it. So it's actually got more powerful over the years. The second thing I'd say is the support from our sponsor community has been great, including QSR Automation, who I should mention.
Whoa, wait a minute. Are you telling me?
I heard the crowd just go.
Are you telling me that QSR Automation is sponsoring this piece of collateral?
Christi, can you confirm that?
I can confirm.
That is true.
That has been confirmed.
Are we playing Trivia Tuesday? Is that true or false yet? No,
I don't think so.
We have our own
We
skit
have a
going on
voucher,
on
Jimmy.
your show.
All right, we have a voucher.
But yeah, no, just the customer feedback from us has been great because the results have been great. And then if you see, we had 600 operators actually join the survey this year, up from about 400 last year. Thanks to you guys too for joining in on that. Appreciate that. But in terms of the trends that we're seeing, Christi, you want to jump into kind of the main trends that you see?
Christi. Get in here.
Yeah. Well, some of the biggies were just broadly, operators are more confident in how they're using data. Digital marketing was the big headline in terms of where they're going to be investing this year. And we can deep dive into all of this throughout the conversation. But, and then investment trends were a little bit interesting. This being our second year, you could start to see some trend lines and some changes. And one of the things that really jumped out at the top of the list for us was, we ask, are you going to be investing in new technology in the next 12 months? We asked this last year as well. Last year, 92% said, definitely, probably, or possibly will. This year, that was 87%. So down a little, still around 9 out of 10 operators moving forward with tech. They told us overwhelmingly that it's important to them. It's part of their businesses. But where it gets interesting is when you drill down into the individual responses, we found a little less certainty and a little less urgency in terms of their tech investments. Fewer people said definitely this year. That was 30% this year, down from 39% last year. And on the other end of the spectrum, we had more people say probably not, which was surprising. That was 12% of respondents, up from 6% last year. So a little bit less urgency, certainty, a little more of a wait and see approach. Yeah.
I
Share your theory.
And you guys would know best, but I believe in talking to a lot of operators over the last year that they're making more pointed investments for solutions that they require. They want more ROI. They sprayed around enough money. They learned enough bad lessons that now they're actually taking their time to invest more properly into a proper tech stack that can, give them longevity versus something overnight.
I would agree.
Sure.
I was going to say, I think there's also a lot of tech that has been ingested and now you have to implement and get it going. So you can't just every couple of months just keep on bringing on a new platform. Mm-hmm. You have to take it in and use it. So, I would agree that, since COVID, there was a lot of tech that has been, taken in, and now they've got to, use it, et cetera, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, 82 a year ago, 87. I think there's margin for error there. The factoid is still about 9 out of 10 operators are leading to looking at the tech. And then to your point, Joe, on maybe the increase in those not. I think there's been an explosion of tech. I think, when the pandemic hit, and I'm sorry we keep bringing it up, but it was really a milestone in this industry, 50% of restaurants in this country.
When is it too late to talk about the pandemic, Jimmy? What is the year?
Next week.
Like New Year's, you can't say it's a week later.
This week we're fine.
This is it. No more pandemic.
You know what? Give me the rest of the year. We'll talk about it in 25. But my point is 50% of restaurants were not even online to have a digital presence when the pandemic hit. So it was understandable that there was
it again with the pandemic.
Well, I'm going to have to the end of the year now.
I thought we're done talking about the pandemic.
Massive embracement by necessity. And I think to Joe's point, it's kind of like, no more leap of faith. When they want the tech companies, let's see what the ROI, let's see what the return on this investment and does it make sense. And I think to a certain extent, I think at the end of the day, the food, the experience, the value, all of those things can exist without tech. So we have to remember what this business is. We're not a tech business. We're a tech-enabled business.
Good point.
And I think you're also seeing a little bit of that knowledge gaps. There were still plenty of them, but last year I think they were a little greater. And I think people are starting to know what they don't know. And they're seeing some of the warts of the tech they're working with now. They can be more discerning at what's out there or even what they have in their own tech stack already. We saw in the report that people are the second, in terms of why you would invest in tech this year, the second response was to replace things that I'm not happy with. So there was a little bit of growing dissatisfaction. I think it's just a smarter, more discerning buyer than a year ago. And that comes from, like I said, the data, you're getting better, understanding your data, understanding your business, but you start to know what you don't know.
I love it.
You're a tech vendor. Do you know why this is so important, this market leader program?
Yes. No? Tell me.
Because
why don't you tell us?
Their clients are telling them what they're investing in, what they need, what they want more of, what they want to be better at.
Yeah.
And so as a tech vendor, I would look at this and say, I really have to apply myself to this certain area because if this is what my operator community thinks of X technology, then that's a problem.
I agree. Yeah. Listen, I say data. Jimmy says data. Or wait, do I say, what do I say?
Why don't you say it?
I say data or data? What do I say data?
But you can say whatever you want to say.
I don't know what I
you
say. I
say.
forget what I
Yeah.
say.
By the way,
It's
Chris
hard.
Data. I say data.
I say data?
Joe says data.
Data.
You say
I went
data.
data, but that's a change. Just a couple months ago, I switched sides. We did a market leader report called the Data Driven Restaurant, and I had to really do some soul searching on what if I was going to be a data person or a data person, and I went data. I went data.
Like data or data?
My favorite takeaway, like I can already see the clip, that little snippet.
Yeah.
Christi talking about data being one of the obsessions now, because we've been talking about that. Like we went long. We went long data. We made meaningful investments into data companies. One being publicly available data to help, as you said, Joe, help the vendors, help the sellers understand what their operators currently were using, and then a POS, and that's Brizzo Food Metrics, and then Ingest AI, who basically is a super scrubber of POS data to make sure that you're making tactical and actual decisions. And I love how operators always tell us, that they're going to let their gut and their instincts and their experience direct their decisions. And I so respect that. I just try to convince them that watch how much better their gut instincts and how much more valuable their experience is when they're leveraging data, unemotional data, to help them direct the decision.
Well, I think the interesting point on the data, Jimbo,
he's on the team,
is that though a lot of operators are maybe a little bit less inclined to bring in new technology, from what I understand here, in terms of understanding the data they're collecting, it is up from 30% who were interested in understanding to 45% of operators in the survey are definitely or probably using some sort of solution to understand their customer data better than the year prior. So I think data is really interesting. And I think understanding who your customer is and really being able to target specifically your customers with social media, loyalty, customer engagement, et cetera. But you really got to understand who your customer is. So I think data still becomes incredibly important. And restaurants are not data miners, like you said. I mean, we're not technologists. At the end of the day, we're trying to make great food and create great experiences. But I think we recognize now that getting incredible information about our guests will help us grow our business. I think that's where a lot of focus is right now.
And another similarity between the events business that we operate and media businesses, data is a form of currency for us, just like the revenue as well.
And I think there's also, data is not some like back room, nerdy guy with the calculator. It really is just as simple as doing all the things you already do better. It's how many chicken wings do I need for the big game? What people should be working on that shift? It's kind of all the stuff that's baked into the experienced operator or the experienced manager, just done better and at scale.
I like the word data so much. I'm thinking about naming my next child Data Schatzberg. What do you think about that? You like that idea?
What movie has a character whose first name is Data?
Oh, that was Buck Rogers. No, it wasn't.
Goonies.
Goonies? But wasn't in Buck Rogers the little robot Data? No,
I knew the Goonies. I didn't know what you're talking about. By the way, I do love, Schatz, that a moment ago you actually used data to talk about the importance of data. Like that was a little like
Jimmy. I work in mysterious ways.
That was like a circular formula in Excel that you were using data to define the importance of data.
I'm so incredibly confused.
I thought it was great
by myself.
I want to get back to our guest here. The majority of operators who have added to their tech stacks, and there may be, again, we talked about waiting and monitoring the success before they want to move on and do more and build more. But I think there are two types of personas or of operators that are looking to add tech. There's the operator that wants to become more proficient, cut costs, very tactical. And then there's the one that is kind of tech forward maybe, or likes to really kind of do cool stuff, I'll say, or Schatzberg would say do cool shit. FCC violation.
Sometimes you can say poo.
So I guess my question, I'll go to you, Christi. In terms of the types of operators, and you guys have surveyed many, over 600 of them. How do you feel about the personas? What could you share on the type of operators that are in fact leading into the tech stack?
Yeah, so we asked the question of how do you expect your number of vendor relationships, tech partners to change in the next year, kind of as a proxy to who's making moves, who's moving the chess pieces over the next year. And interestingly, just over half said we don't expect it to change at all. So that kind of has that wait and see vibe that we talked about from the investment question. But of the people who will either be decreasing their total number of vendors or increasing, and that increasing figure was 37%. So a lot of people adding new capabilities. So that group overwhelmingly wants new capabilities. They're kind of screaming out that there are holes that they need to fill. There are things that they're missing. That was 2/3 of them wanting that. They're also almost 40% of them are looking to replace unsatisfying elements of their tech stack. So there is sort of a feeling of I'm not getting what I need and I'm going to go out and find it. Integration headaches be damned. On the other side of the coin, the people who were expected to have fewer vendors, a year from now, they were all about efficiency. So 2/3 of them were saying, I want to be more efficient. I want to decrease cost. They also, though, said they were interested in replacing unsatisfying components. So there is sort of a feeling that everyone's looking to right size, but that's different depending on who you are.
If I could, Chad.
Yes, Jimbo, you can.
I want to ask a follow-on question if I could.
I will permit this today.
I appreciate that. Particularly when it comes to the number of vendors they work with, which to date or historically, it's been very disparate. And there's a lot of tech vendors. And what I hear from operators, you guys are really leaning into it, is the need for more integrations, the need for more bundled solutions. And I guess one of my questions for those who are somewhat reluctant to add new tech vendors or new suppliers, is there the sense that they want more functionality, but they want to do more with what they have? Or, I've been hammering the drum on this consolidation and the M&A that we want a more seamless tech stack, and the only way to do that is to build more functionality or acquire the functionality. Did that come across in any of your work on the study of what operators were thinking about when it comes to the number of tech vendors they have in their stores?
I think the building could be on fire, by the way.
I think you're seeing a little bit of, they want more capabilities, which in a lot of cases may mean adding new partners or new tools, but they're kind of craving the integration, a little more of an end-to-end experience. So they kind of want both things. But like you mentioned M&A, that's an interesting point kind of in the backdrop of all of this, is even as the operators are making their moves and making deals or ending partnerships, the vendors themselves are changing. You can't go a week without seeing headlines of, who got new funding, who bought who. So even as the operators are trying to find their right mix, the vendors themselves, the scope of what they can offer, the integrations and the partnerships out there are changing too. So even that 51% in the middle who aren't changing their partnerships, it may look radically different for them in a year too.
Yeah, bring up a really good point. I think I just saw, didn't Shift4 just buy Revel?
I don't know that.
Yeah, that was yesterday, I believe.
They just bought Revel POS, so another POS.
You breaking news, Schatzberg?
I'm breaking news. I got to put some news. Breaking news.
I was effing with you because actually that was all over the news wires yesterday. But I love it. You broke it. You think you broke it today?
Joe didn't know.
Give credit to the
Joe didn't know.
You broke it for Joe. Joe was traveling.
Joe was out yesterday. His kids had a baseball game, and he was turned his phone off, and he was news silent.
He was present.
So he didn't know that, but he does now.
But to your point, Shift4 did buy Revel.
Yeah, so it's a lot of change happening. M&A is exciting. A lot of stuff going on there. I will say, going back to your report about technology, et cetera, it says that the operators were least happy, this is interesting, least happy with their marketing, loyalty, and CRM solution. That was an area that they still haven't found a lot of love. They haven't found one they really like.
Found what they're looking for. Is that what you're saying?
It's I put on a little U2, and if you want me, I'll sing it if you want, Jimbo. But so the number one area business that operators are still looking to support with tech investments is digital marketing. Incredible. Joe, yes. You know something about this. You come from a tech background. Does it or does it not make sense?
Well, but this is the most surprising that I saw, and Christi and I spoke about this when we first got the results back. But I think the rise of the influencer marketing is playing into the tech solutions, right? There's a lot of different things playing into, but it's ripe for exciting change. But also it's a wake up call to any vendor that prides itself on providing this type of service. That here we have an operator community that said they're not getting what they need. and we're going to have to, decide on how to best approach that in the future. And I do think our top 50 Nation's Restaurant News top 50 list that we just put out was 25 influencers that we had on there, and the rise of the influencer for influencer marketing is a serious, potential another outlet for people to invest in, and that would be more person to person than it would be technology landscape.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting with all those solutions out there. So I think when operators talk about not really engaging with new technology, I think they're still struggling to find, as we talked about earlier, they've got definite wants and needs, and they're struggling to find someone to fill that.
No, I like all. I want to go to the other side of that coin. Another interesting data point is the number one feature operators are looking for, according to a report, when considering tech for the kitchen or back of house, was reducing food waste. And I found that to be incredibly interesting, and I dare say I love it. While automation and the IoT of kitchen are shiny objects,
right?
And sort of get attention. I'm thrilled to hear that our community, is really wants to address food waste, and that it's still a priority. And operators are looking for tech to solve the issue. So completely talking our book here, but our friend, our partner, a guest of the podcast, Kimberly Smith, CEO of Copia, one of our portfolio companies, she likes to say that hunger is or addressing the hunger issues and food insecurity is not about scarcity, but it's about logistics. So Christi, it's a real important factoid and the top of the list. Can you share more on this food waste issue and how operators are thinking about it?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too. We asked a number of goals for tech in the back of the house, and food waste was at the top of the list, followed by decreasing errors among kitchen staff, which obviously is going to be highly correlated with waste as well. And I think it's really interesting. It's a great goal and very important, but I also think it kind of gets to the issue of the moment is margins. You're seeing that the customer's getting a little skittish. Traffic is down in a lot of areas. The costs are up, especially labor, but food as well. And the one big lever that you can always go to pull is your menu and your kitchen and making it more efficient. And technology is going to let you do that in a lot of ways, whether it's through better purchasing, better training of your staff, maybe some automation. But I think it is less of the shiny robots, as you say, and more of doing all the things you do better in the back of the house. And that's going to help your margins at a time when you really need it.
Oh, are operators looking to technology too much? Everything has to have the tech solution. It didn't exist like that years ago.
No, 100%. A lot of people, it's the hospitality industry, it's food service, and how much tech is too much, how much is enough. I think it dovetails into the appeal of what everyone's been talking about is AI. Everyone is talking about AI. It is solving all the world's problems.
We weren't talking about it until now. You just started talking about it.
No, but I mean, last night at dinner, I was talking about it. I woke up this morning, I talked about it. Jillian told me in my sleep, sometimes I'm talking about it. I am just, and if I don't name a kid Data, my next kid.
You switched? You're on team Data now?
Data, his middle name may be AI. Data AI Schatzberg.
Immediately.
Not bad. Rolls off the tongue pretty good. Well, listen, so 35% of respondents from this survey that with over 10 million people that you surveyed, they said that they are not using AI, but they would like to use AI. So I think there's a confusion, though, because I don't think they even know that they're using AI. I think everyone thinks that ChatGPT, writing your homework assignment or writing a paper or an email with Chat, that's all AI is. We've been using AI in restaurants for quite some time. It's just you didn't know you were using it, right? And all your forecasting tools and your scheduling tools and a lot of your social media.
You have machine learning happening on in your tech stack. You already using.
Yeah. So I think that people really are a little bit confused about that. But let's just talk about the difference, because talk about labor and issues that are pressing for operators, and labor is a big one. So, is it robots that are going to change the world for operators right now? Or is it, I'll say, AI and machine learning and things like that? What say you, Christi?
Oh, I think 100% it's the quiet, kind of invisible tech behind the scenes, which is going to be
How many chicken wings should I be buying? How much should I prep? Yeah.
Exactly. And we talk about AI, but that's really just a tool to understand your data. I mean, it all goes back to that data. So yes, I think 100% it's going to be not the anthropomorphic Jetson style robot whizzing around your dining room. Like we kind of got over that a few years ago. It's the quiet stuff that can optimize everything that you do.
And it goes back to like understanding your customer behavior and using machine learning to understand better target your customers. I agree. But I think a lot of operators may be confused when they're asked if they use AI. I don't think they know how much AI they're using in the software that they're buying, right?
Yeah, there was an interesting conversation, a panel at RLC, Restaurant Leadership Conference, a few weeks ago that asked this same question, because you can't have a conversation about tech without AI in this day and age. And the panel all kind of said the same thing. They're obviously, high level tech execs. They're aware of where the AI is, but they kind of said, we're going to let our solutions bake it in for a little while. We're not going to go out trying to figure this out ourselves. We're going to understand where it is in our existing tech stack and leverage that, as opposed to trying to go out and reinvent the wheel themselves.
I love it. Jimbo?
This is great. I want to, we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to launch into talking back. Schatz and I, clearly we like chatting with our guest, or in this case, guest, and we could do this for the rest of the day, trust me. But we learned along the way, sometimes our guests and friends have a question or two for us. Since we have two guests, I think I'll invite two questions, but Christi, Joe, nothing's off the table. The microphone, my friends.
I feel like Joe wrote a question that last night.
No, I did not.
I didn't prep one either. I thought Joe was doing it.
This is really for you.
Joe, look at that, coming at me. I like it.
It's going to be a bit personal, though.
Oh, it's okay, Jimmy. Okay. Nothing's over there. Everything is on the table.
True or false?
Yes.
Jimmy Frischling will be at Create 2024 Investment Summit.
Oh. By the way,
when is it? You got to
October.
I have a theory on this. I have a big theory. Don't ever threaten me with a good time. If you're inviting, I'm coming.
Is it in Margaritaville?
No,
because if it's in Margaritaville, I'll tell you he's not going.
No, we're not.
It's not in Margaritaville, Christi.
Nashville, baby. We're going to Nashville.
Right. By the way, last year,
I have
to say, last year I felt. First of all, I heard it was a great event, and Schatzy got the nod, and he raced on over there.
Great dinner,
and I heard this great time, and I kept thinking, I wonder why they left out the finance person.
No, it's not true.
But if you're telling me I'm invited, I'm telling you, I'll say it here right now.
You're telling me you weren't invited to Create?
I believe he was double booked.
To be fair,
I did not get an invitation.
Get the hell out of here.
Double booked.
It might have been double booked. It could have been double booked.
Yeah, Jimmy, you weren't invited to the mountain.
Made for a better story. Made like the whole guilt trip.
Yeah, don't give me that. But you asked Barbara if you could go, and she said Sylvie has swim lessons.
She's a fantastic swimmer.
By the way, she's 18 years old now. Sylvie's 18, but Jimmy's still got to take a swim lesson.
I'm coming, and I look forward to it. I'm
perfect.
Chris, anything for you, or I'm going to let Chatsy?
I'll just ask for either of you guys. So we're all food people. Chatsy told us all about the parts of the recipe earlier. Last meal. What's your choice?
Oh, my last meal?
Last meal.
Like, am I going to the electric chair kind of thing? I always like to say if you're on a deserted island, like last meal. It's easy for me because it's pizza, good, but it's got to be good pizza, or a great burger. Like that for me, like great pizza, great burger. I'm done. Yeah.
You're
great, simple. You know what I got last night, by the way? I was hungry after the event because I didn't really eat that much. I went to Joe's, on Carmine.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I got to tell you, I haven't had real sliced grease dripping down, bend it. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm going a little different than my partner here, Shatsy, because if it's my last meal, if it's really like my last meal, like I'm going to eat and then go, in this case, to the chair, I'm going a big old, like Italian style porterhouse, like big steak with the whole
Bistecca Florentine.
Steak of Florentine, maybe Campagnola. Order off the menu, and then they'll make up a price at the end. But I still love it.
Who can afford that restaurant, Jimmy? That's what your last meal.
Pay it on a credit card. You'll have to pay it.
And so if it's my last meal, I'm going that way. Or I'm going to do omakase, which I almost never do because that costs you an arm and a leg. they're opening up stores in New York City because I feel like you can't get that delivered. They're trying to find ways to deploy, use the real estate. So you see these entertainment joints. I'm not saying, oh my God, they're opening up everywhere, because that is a must do in the restaurant.
No matter how much I sit at a sushi bar and how much they bring me,
You can't get
inevitably, one more. Inevitably, I don't care how many times he brings me another one. And, you get the bill. It's, $800. I'm starving after. No matter how long, I got to go to Joe's and get a slice.
I agree with you. But since this is the last meal, I won't be around when the credit card bill comes. So I chose a big steak, or I chose an avocado meal, and someone else got to deal with that bill.
Problem.
All right, well, I got to tell you something. We are taking it right into, are you ready for this, guys? We got a new segment here, and I think you guys are really going to like it a lot. I really do. I got to tell you, I'm just trying to find some music for it, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to go with this. We're going to go with Name That Recipe. Jimbo?
I like it. Yet another.
Joe Donnelly, are you ready to play?
Yet another legal.
Christi, are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
Name That Recipe. All right. I don't know who these people are on this thing here, but anyway. All right, we're going to play Name That Recipe. I am going to list several items, and then you, Christi, Joe, and Jimmy.
I get to play too?
You can play.
Okay.
You get to tell me, okay, how many ingredients that you need to name that recipe. You know what I mean? Like, name that tune. You know what I mean?
I could do it in 6 ingredients.
6 ingredients, 4 ingredients, okay? This recipe has 4 ingredients.
Is it a food or a beverage?
It's a beverage. It's a beverage. It is a cocktail.
It's a cocktail.
It is a cocktail.
Right.
It is a cocktail. So, Joe, how many ingredients do you need to name that recipe?
All of them.
So you need 4.
Yeah.
All right, Christi, can you name it in less than 4?
I mean, sure, I'll go 3. I'll try to.
Jim, you need. Don't look at my thing here, Jimmy.
I'll go with 5, which basically means I'm going to list them.
All right.
5
All
ingredients.
right. Here are the 3 ingredients for Christi.
Beverage, correct?
Name that beverage. Yes, it's a cocktail. It's a cocktail. Vodka, cranberry juice, and lime juice.
I'm ready.
Name that recipe, Christi.
Is it a Cape Cod or a Cosmopolitan?
It is
Kind of in the same vein. Is there ice?
Wait a minute. What, Cape Cod? No, it is not a Cape Cod. Jimbo, you said 6.
But I could do it
Sea
3.
breeze.
Because you left out grapefruit.
I didn't say who it was yet.
I'm guessing that's
Sea breeze. You don't look like a sea breeze guy to
I'm
me.
going to add one more. I'm going to add one more recipe. One more ingredient.
What is it?
Triple sec.
Oh, well, I don't know what that is.
That's a Cosmo now, right?
That's the Cosmo.
You're
That's
right,
the
Christi.
Christi had
Jump the gun.
6 recipes, 6 ingredients.
I thought I was allowed to guess, and I thought I had a hunch.
Oh, Jimbo, I
The
got
rules
to
of
tell
this
you.
game need to be explained.
Yeah,
Well, we got to work a little bit more on these. It may not be our best segment.
The crowd went wild for you, Christi. I heard.
We need to go out for drinks, practice.
That was only
For
the
next time.
second time we did it, and it might just be the last time that we.
There, we're in delay.
We killed
It
it.
might be the last time that we do it. Okay, let me just tell you something about a little gold medal moment here for QSR automation. Okay, let me just tell you something about the recipe, because we talked about recipe. Okay, and let me tell you something with Connect Smart Recipe Plus, Jimmy. You know what you do with that, Jimmy?
What do you do?
You get on the KDS. I hire you as a line cook. You got no idea what's going on. You lie on your resume. You lie on the application. You're like, oh, I've been cooking for years. That's you, right? Get into the kitchen. Jimmy's got no idea. Tickets are coming in. The KDS is like there, and Jimmy doesn't know how to make anything. You push a couple of buttons, pictures come up, recipes come up, tells you exactly what to do. Jimbo, QSR Connect Smart Recipe Plus, it is software training. It's quality control. It's reducing the clutter and the cost of recipe binders. Jimmy's not going to go open the binder and look. No. Joe, you come out of tech. You're not going to know what the hell's going on over there. You know, Christi, I don't know what your background is, but I'm telling you, you need it too. Everyone needs this guy. I'm getting it in my house.
Wow.
By the way, for our listeners, can you define what the acronym KDS stands for, please?
Kitchen Display System,
Boom.
Jimbo.
Yes.
And let me tell you, at QSR Automation, they are the leaders. They are, you know how the National Restaurant Show is the Oscars
Yes.
for us?
Yes.
Well, QSR Automation, they win the Oscar. Best Picture, if there was a best KDS,
yes,
they would win the Oscar every year for best KDS. That's what they are.
the best director.
Well, that's not them. That's different. That's a totally different category, Jimmy. That's a totally different category. But let me tell you something. QSR automation in their Connect Plus recipe thing, it is killing it, and you got to check it out. So just Google it, and Jimmy, trust me, you need it, okay? Stop arguing so much with me, all right?
Okay.
All right, listen, let's go back. Let's go on to another segment, Jimbo, because we had so much fun. We had so much fun with the recipe one, right? The recipe one was a big hit. Everyone loved that. Julie will never put that one on our episode again. We're having a lot of trouble with that one. Hot or not? All right, I am going to ask Joe and Christy. I'm going to throw out 3 topics, okay? And I want you just to tell me first thing that comes to mind, all right?
Well, hot or not?
Hot or not?
Well, I meant hot or not. That's what I mean, you're not listening to me? I mean, I said hot or not. That's what we're playing, hot or not.
It might not be the game. I think it's the explanation of the games that we're running into here.
I mean, listen, okay, Joe, you're never coming back to the show again. All right? On that show, all right? We're sending those Met tickets. We're sending the Met tickets. All right, listen, hot or not, Joe and Christy, data purchased from third parties, hot or not?
Hot.
Yeah, I'm going to go hot.
Experiences versus standard reservations. Joe, hot or not?
Christy?
I don't know if I understand the question. Again, your experience, your restaurant experience versus just like a table?
Going to a restaurant and just, table 2 sitting down.
Gotcha.
Experiences like, I want to bowl. I want to play darts. I want to throw a hatchet at someone.
I mean,
I want to drive an F1 car. I'm golf. I'm swinging,
I'm into it. I got to go hot. It's hard to argue with the growth of that segment right now.
Experiences are hot.
Experience is everything right now.
Joe's got to get out of the house more. He just sits with that Netflix. He just sits with that Netflix. I got to tell you, really terrible, Jimmy. Really, the guy's the president. The president of Informa Food Service. Yes. Christy, we got to get him out more. Hot or not? BOGOs. Joe, don't ask Christy.
Not.
Christy, hot or not?
Yeah, good no.
Jimbo, do you care and opine on any of these hot or nots? We had data purchased from third parties. Yeah. We had experiential or standard reservations, and we have BOGOs.
You know what? I liked all, and I could follow up on all, but since we're going to do one, I want to stick with the data, particularly the people you talked about. It's hot to be purchasing data from third-party providers. So, Christy, can you maybe expand a little bit more on what you're hearing from operators on why it's hot, why they're leaning into it? Because I think
I would say it's hot, but it's hot for the right type of operator. I think it's a next level, more sophisticated move. I think the first thing is to make sure you're maximizing and understanding all of your own data that you're already sitting on in your POS, your transaction, and your customer, your first party customer data. So I think it's a hot thing and it's a smart thing and can be done really well, but it's not the first thing.
Yeah, I would just say it's hot for maybe the wrong reasons, because it seems like an easy solution to potentially not understanding your own first-party data.
Absolutely.
But first-party third-party data is not.
It's tough to get that first-party data from the third-party delivery platform. I share it with the most operators, right?
That's it.
Mm-mm.
Now, does Informa share all of that data? Can we?
No, see, we're in similar businesses.
Aha!
It's a legal thing, gentlemen.
Joe always, when you talk about data, he always goes back to the Brits. He's like, they're owned by the Brits and the European Union. It's a whole.
Don't get Joe in trouble on the podcast. They're so awesome. We are friends across the pond. They're awesome.
Friends across the pond.
But the EU has a much stricter policy on privacy than we have here.
Yep.
But it's coming.
It's coming.
At the end of the day, I believe in data privacy is critical, even though people are posting their entire life story on social media. But again, I think the data can be clearly can be anonymized, and it could be given to basically do compare and contrast. And it's one thing to know how your restaurant doing. I agree with you. First party data and the ability to assess your own store units, performance is critical. But then I do think it helps to understand benchmarking how you're doing relative to your peer group. Yeah, I think it's a really hot area, and I'm so happy to hear that the operators that you guys surveyed were leaning into the importance of data, because I really do feel this is an industry. I would argue that the data set that comes through our industry is the third most valuable. It's really about consumer preference.
What were the first? What is the most valuable to me? Can you share with our listeners the most valuable?
I think financial data continues to rank one, because if people can gain an advantage leveraging that type of intel,
like insider trading kind of stuff.
No, just like the idea that if they can garner a penny or a fraction of a penny by leveraging that data, there's no amount of money that will be spent on it. And healthcare data to me still ranks incredibly high. But I love that our industry gets the bronze medal for, I think, the third most important data set, consumer preference data. So I love that operators are leaning into it. That's one of the hot areas. That's what I have to say about that.
Jimbo, I got to tell you, once again, you are fantastic, and you are articulating beautifully. No, because we have one last segment, the most incredible segment of all podcasts. The ratings came out last week of all podcasts, and they said that we were not number one. We were not number one. We were number two. Joe Rogan is still the number one most listened to podcast.
But I hear he wants to buy this segment from you, Jackson.
However, the branded Quickfire has now become the number 2 most listened to podcast segment, according to Nielsen and Technomic. Technomic data, which I think is an Informa company.
I'll have to double check that stat.
But Technomic is now looking at podcast listenership. And from what I understand, the number 2 most listened to is branded Quickfire. So without further ado, Joe, Christi, are you ready?
Ready.
This is the Olympics of all podcast sequences.
The footnotes we're going to add this episode.
Here we go.
The footnotes we're going to have to
Joe, I will ask you first. Christi, you can answer second. Or if you want, I can switch that around. Christi, you go first. Then Joe, you go second.
There we go.
All right. Christi, text, messages, or emails?
Text.
Joe?
Can I say a different way?
Yes.
Okay. If you're going to call me, don't call me. Text me and tell me what we're going to talk about, and then I'll answer you. It's all text all the time.
All text. Yeah, Jimmy, do not email Mr. Donnelly. He does not respond.
I think he said don't call.
Phone call.
Don't call.
Oh, was that directed at me? No, I feel like that was directed at me.
No.
Christi, he looked right at me.
You know what? We made text conversations anyway, so
right at me. Okay, Christi, where are you getting dinner from tonight?
All right, you caught me on not a very glamorous day. There is a monthly family dinner at my daughter's elementary school. So I'm probably looking at some pasta with marinara and a sad Caesar salad. So, but it'll be fun.
Nice. I like that. Joey D?
My wife's kitchen. We'll be eating fajitas tonight.
Oh, what is it? Fajita Tuesday?
Fajita Tuesday.
Like not to be confused with Taco Tuesday.
Slightly different.
Christi, favorite phone app on that iPhone or Android, God forbid?
It's called Copilot. It's a personal finance app. It tracks all of my investments, spending. Every purchase comes in, and there's AI baked into it too, and I'm aware of it. But yeah, you can code all your purchases and categorize and look for trends and watch your investments, and I love it.
Excellent. We're going to get a hold of that.
She just absolutely killed me.
Joe, favorite phone app? And this is a family show, so keep it clean.
I would say I'm still, unfortunately, addicted to Instagram.
All right, that's not so bad. I thought you were going to go with FanDuel or something like that. The betting fiend. It was FanDuel or All right, so he was trying to be,
Christi got really smart, and I had to adjust on the fly.
Joe was trying to be smart with his Instagram one. Christi, what is your Uber rating? What is your Uber? The not the food, the ride share. What's your Uber rating? This is a big one.
I had to look this up. It's 4.87.
What? Joe's looking at it now. Let me tell you, from what I understand, that is a good rating. A 4.87 is very high. You are well liked. You must tip. Are you tipping?
I do.
Oh, wow. Joe?
Come on, it's the hospitality industry. We're tippers.
I would assume that I Uber more than Christi. I'm only a 4.85.
Doesn't matter how.
4.85?
4.85. I edged you out.
He's throwing up. He's leaving water bottles. He's definitely, you are not tipping and you're leaving a mess in that car. That is Jimmy.
I don't know what mine is. I don't have my phone on me, but we have 4.87 and 4.85.
4.87 is very high. A 4.5.
Either 4.85 or
4.85.
Oh, 4.85. They said 4.5.
No, 4.85.
No, that's high.
I guarantee I'm lower than
I'm a 4.74.
Ooh, see?
Yeah. I think, you know what?
Right.
I think I just annoy the driver so much because you know what? Jimmy can attest. I get in the car I tell them how to go. It's like these guys have no idea where they're going. I mean, we're going to LaGuardia. The guy's like, oh, let me take a turn. I'll go to the West Side Highway. I'm like, what are you doing? Jimmy, how many times we're going to LaGuardia? They're like, let me go 79th and I'll take the Verrazano.
Right. See, the problem with this story, and by the way, this story is very true. What he didn't share with you is that when we travel, I pick Schatz up. It's my Uber. It's my rating.
Your rating.
He is bashing the Uber. He's being less than pleasant to the Uber driver, and it's my Uber.
Well, obviously, I do it my Uber without you because I have like a 474 or something like that. Yeah, I gotta change the way I go in the Uber. I can't stand to go the wrong way, and they don't know what they're doing, Jimmy. It's all right. Anyway, Christi, if you were to choose Jimmy or I to be your partner on The Amazing Race, who would you choose as your partner? What are the best odds of winning? Is it Jimmy on The Amazing Race, or is it the gazelle-like Adara Schatzi? What would you think?
I got to Jimmy. I think together, but to be very strategic, very smart, we could make it happen. A little more thoughtful, not as out there crazy, but we'd get it done.
Obviously, Christi's never seen The Amazing Race.
I was having my Arnold Schwarzenegger moment where I was going to say, Christi, if you want to live, come with me.
Go. Same question. Amazing Race. You can have this gazelle-like figure who can run, bike, jog, do whatever, or Jimmy.
I'm going with the higher Uber rating score, and that's Mr. Jimmy Frischling.
There we go.
All right. I know where I stand with this crew.
Yes, all right. It's about your attention deficit disorder.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, no. Who? Okay. All right. Anyway. All right. Listen, this has been a good time for sure, Jimbo.
Joe and Christi, thank you guys so much. This is a good time. And to our listeners, we do have the privilege of spending time with Joe and Christi and enjoying their company. They're friends of ours, and we absolutely love what Informa and these folks are doing for this industry that we really do love. We appreciate your hard work, not just around the conferences and not just around the report you're issuing, but you guys are constantly trying to help operators, and that's really on brand for Branded. We think if you can help the operators succeed, a lot of good things happen, and you guys do a ton of work for those that are operating these restaurants and these food venues and whatnot. And I again, that's why I think we're just such good fans of yours. We want to encourage everyone to download the report that we've been talking about, and you can do a deeper dive yourselves into all these insights.
How do they get that report, Jimmy?
So you can go, we'll drop the link in the podcast write-up, but you can also find it directly at nrn.com, NancyRobertNancy.com /
Wait, who the hell is Nancy? Robert Nancy?
2024 Tech Outlook.
Who the hell is Nancy?
2024 Tech Outlook at nationsrestaurantnews.com, but it's nrn.com / 2024 Tech Outlook. And if you want to get in touch with Joe or Christi directly, you can email the podcast team at podcast@brandedstrategic.com. We'll be happy to make the connection. And then finally, to our listeners, we're well up and over 200 episodes now. I've always said I'm not a podcaster, but I guess we are podcasters. And you know what?
Jimmy, you are a podcaster.
It's infotainment. We love bringing on guests such as Christi and Joe, sharing insights. And then we feel if you're going to give us some of your time, which you continue to do, we should have some fun, bring some insights, bring some information. We'll have a good time doing it. So infotainment. And if you haven't subscribed to the podcast already, please do so. And maybe even better yet, invite a friend to join us. So on behalf of myself, who else could it be? On behalf of Jimmy Frischling,
you can't be on behalf of anybody else, Jimmy.
I'm going to sign off, but not before I pass it back to my boy Schatzi to officially close this out.
Oh, and I got to tell you, this has been a phenomenal, I would dare say, Jimbo, I think, I'm going to go on a limb.
On a limb?
This has been the most incredible, informative, see what I did there? Informative.
Yes.
Podcast we have ever done with Christi and Joe. And I think we dropped some serious knowledge.
Dropping knowledge.
And this is just fantastic. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.